Buddy statements. What are they and how can you use them? My name is Lori Underwood with Woods & Woods, and in this segment we're going to talk about buddy statement examples and how they can benefit your veterans' disability compensation claims. There are many ways in which you could use a buddy statement to help you develop either claims for service connection or claims for increased rating, or even to reopen claims. The VA will not seek out buddy statements for you, but they are very useful tools that the VA will look at and consider as credible evidence if they're done in the right way. You can use buddy statements to supplement medical evidence or supplement military service records that may be incomplete. You can use them to provide evidence, corroborating evidence for your claims. And as I said, the VA does consider buddy statements credible evidence when they're done properly. They should be looked at by the regional office, and they are certainly considered by the Board of Veterans Appeals. So how can they be done properly, and how are some ways that I can use them? To be done properly, a credible buddy statement provider should be someone that has first-hand personal knowledge of your claim. So if it's a claim for increased rating, for example, they should be someone who has first-hand personal knowledge of how your impairment has worsened that warrants an increased rating. If your claim is for service connection, the buddy statement provider should have first-hand personal knowledge of how this claim is related to service. If you're looking to supplement military records, the buddy statement provider should have first-hand personal knowledge of the claim you're making which occurred during military service. And I'll expand a little bit on each of these situations, but it does need to be noted that your buddy statement provider cannot give a statement based solely on their belief. They have to be able to back it up with some first-hand experiences. So let's say you're going to use a buddy statement to help you reopen a claim. As in, you have previously filed a claim for service connection for depression. I'm going to use that as an example. And that claim was denied. And now you'd like to file a claim again for service connection for depression. You're going to need new and material evidence to reopen that claim. There are a lot of ways in which you can provide new and material evidence, but a buddy statement is one of them. So how could you use a buddy statement under this example to reopen your claim? Well, let's say that your claim is your depression began during service. Someone who knew you during service, before service, during service, and after service would be an excellent person to provide a buddy statement to explain how your mood changed from before service, during service, and after service, and how they observed the onset of your depression during service. If the person can reduce these facts into a statement from their own first-hand personal knowledge, that could provide a great statement to the VA and new and material evidence for reopening a claim for service connection for depression. That's one way you could use a statement to reopen a claim. Let's say you have a claim for increased rating. And this is now the same claim for depression. Your depression claim has been service connected, and now you need to increase the rating. How can you use a buddy statement to assist you for increased rating claim? Well, you can get a statement from someone who knows you and has observed your condition. In this case, we're using the example of depression. They have observed your condition worsen over time. They have first-hand personal knowledge of how your depression has worsened and can provide a statement explaining the worsening symptoms they have observed within you and in your life. If this person can provide a first-hand account of those symptoms and reduce it into a statement, that would be a great buddy statement to use for an increased rating claim. Now, I've used an example of depression, but this can be done for any condition in which you're seeking an increased rating. Now let's use an example for missing service treatment records or military records. A good example for this would be in trying to prove a military sexual trauma. More often than not, service records do not record military sexual traumas. This may be for a number of reasons, and one of them is often because people do not report military sexual trauma for a lot of reasons. Just because there aren't military records of this doesn't mean that you can't help prove your military sexual trauma with buddy statements. If you confided your trauma to someone at the time that it occurred to you, a friend, a fellow service member, a family member, someone who was close to you and had a firsthand personal account of you telling them about your sexual trauma at the time, that person would be a great person to give you a buddy statement to corroborate your story of the military sexual trauma. So you could reduce that person's statement into writing. That would be the buddy statement. That person would need to have a first-hand account of what you told them at the time and be able to corroborate your statement of a military sexual trauma. These statements have been very useful and very helpful for many veterans in showing the BVA that military sexual trauma did exist. That is just one example. A fellow service member who served alongside you can corroborate your explanation of many things, including Agent Orange exposure, an undocumented injury you sustained, and the list goes on and on. These buddy statements do not have to be on any prescribed VA form. What they can be is just written out or typed out by the provider, signed and dated, and I would include some contact information for your provider as well in case the VA wanted to contact your provider. Buddy statements can be your best friend. If you have any questions about how to use them or development of your VA claims, give us a call at the number listed below.